Paris has delivered a historic blow against impunity. More than a decade after the deadly shelling of a press centre in Homs, French judges have issued arrest warrants for Bashar al-Assad and his inner circle, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity. From exile in Russia, Assad now faces international justice. For the families of slain journalists Marie Colvin and Rémi Ochlik, this is a powerful step. Justice may be late, but it is no longer out of reach. A French court has taken a dramatic step in the long quest for accountability in Syria's brutal civil war. On September 3rd, French investigating judges announced arrest warrants for 7 former top Syrian officials, including ex-President Bashar al-Assad, over the killing of journalists in Homs more than a decade ago. The warrants accuse Assad and his senior circle of complicity in war crimes and crimes against humanity linked to the February 22, 2012, bombing of an informal press centre in the Baba Amr district of Homs. The attack killed American war correspondent Marie Colvin of the Sunday Times and French photographer Rémi Ochlik, while wounding 3 others: British photographer Paul Conroy, French journalist Edith Bouvier, and their Syrian interpreter Wael Omar. According to a judicial source cited by Agence France Presse, the warrants were formally issued in July 2025, but only made public this week. Colvin and Ochlik had been working alongside other foreign correspondents who had clandestinely entered Homs to document the siege. The city was then a key rebel stronghold under relentless bombardment from Assad's forces. The International Federation for Human Rights said,
"The journalists were victims of a targeted bombing designed to silence reporting on atrocities. FIDH noted the group of correspondents had risked their lives to document the crimes committed by Bashar al-Assad's regime."
Among those also named in the warrants are Maher al-Assad, the former president's brother and commander of the Syrian army's elite 4th Division; Ali Mamlouk, ex-head of General Intelligence; Ali Ayoub, former Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces; Rafik Shahada, a senior Home Security official; Mohammed Dib Zaitoun, ex-director of the General Security Directorate; Ghassan Bilal, another high-ranking officer. The timing is notable. Assad fled to Russia in December 2024 after opposition forces launched a lightning offensive that toppled his regime and ended 5 decades of Assad family rule. His exile stripped him of head of state immunity, clearing the way for prosecutors to revive earlier cases. The Syrian Center for Media and Free Expression played a central role in gathering evidence for the investigation. Its director and a lawyer, Mazen Darwish, said in a statement,
"The judicial investigation clearly established that the attack on the informal press center in Bab Amr was part of the Syrian regime's explicit intention to target foreign journalists in order to limit media coverage of its crimes and force them to leave the city and the country."
According to the French investigation, the attack was not a battlefield accident, but the result of a coordinated plan. Evidence reportedly shows Syrian officials held a security meeting in early 2012 where strategies were devised to track and eliminate foreign reporters entering the city. The journalists had been working inside a makeshift media hub, set up by activists to broadcast the scale of civilian suffering during the siege of Homs. On February 22, 2012, rockets rained down on the building, killing Colvin and Ochlik instantly. Survivors later recalled the precision of the strike. For many, the case highlights not only the risks of frontline reporting, but also the deliberate targeting of journalists as part of wartime strategy. Colvin, remembered for her signature black eye patch after an earlier injury in Sri Lanka, was one of the world's most recognizable war correspondents. Her career, celebrated in the Golden Globe-nominated film A Private War, embodied a commitment to exposing the human cost of conflict. Her colleague, Rémi Ochlik, just 28, was already an award-winning photojournalist documenting uprisings across the Arab world. Their deaths shocked the global press community and drew condemnation from governments and rights organizations alike. Clémence Bectart, lawyer for FIDH and for Ochlik's parents, welcomed the French warrants, describing them as
a decisive step that paves the way for a trial in France for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by Bashar al-Assad's regime.
The investigation has already been hailed by advocacy groups as a milestone in the fight against impunity for crimes against journalists. This is not France's first attempt to hold Assad accountable. In November 2023, prosecutors issued a warrant over Assad's alleged role in the 2013 chemical weapons attacks in eastern Ghouta and Douma that killed more than 1,000 civilians. That case was annulled in July 2025 when France's highest court ruled Assad enjoyed immunity as a sitting head of state. A second warrant followed in January 2025, accusing him of complicity in a 2017 barrel bomb attack in Dara that killed a French-Syrian civilian. But legal scholars say the new case is different. Assad's ouster in December 2024 stripped him of sovereign immunity, leaving him directly exposed to prosecution. According to the International Federation for Human Rights, France has now issued 21 arrest warrants against senior Syrian officials, 3 of them targeting Assad. The cases rest on the principle of universal jurisdiction, allowing French courts to prosecute crimes against humanity committed abroad if French nationals are among the victims or the crimes are exceptionally grave. France has become one of Europe's most active jurisdictions for prosecuting Syrian war crimes, building on cases already tried in Germany and elsewhere. The Syrian civil war, which erupted in 2011 after the violent suppression of protests, has left more than 500,000 people dead and millions displaced. Assad's regime has long faced accusations of chemical weapons use, indiscriminate bombing, torture in prisons, and deliberate attacks on journalists. The 2012 Bab al-Amr bombing marked a turning point, proof that the regime was prepared to silence media scrutiny at any cost. FIDH has called the new French warrant a decisive step toward accountability. The case carries geopolitical weight. Assad fled into exile in Russia, which intervened militarily in 2015 to save his regime. By hosting him now, Moscow shields him from extradition. But the French warrants deepen his isolation and raise diplomatic pressure. Rights groups argue that even if Assad and his officials are tried in absentia, the symbolism matters. It signals that war crimes will not be erased even years later. Across Europe, momentum is building. Courts in Germany, Switzerland, and the Netherlands have already handed down life sentences against Syrian officials for torture and crimes against humanity. The International Criminal Court has also begun engaging with Syria's transitional authorities on cooperation. Whether Assad ever faces trial remains uncertain. But the message from Paris is clear: justice delayed does not mean justice denied.